Thanks for staying with us. Let's now turn to the education sector, where ASUU is calling on the federal government to meet their demands, threatening to down tools nationwide after a 14-day period. Now let's bring in Professor Adilaja Odukoya, the Zonal Coordinator, ASUU Lagos Zone, to look at all of these issues, especially as they are recurring issues. Good to have you join us, Professor Adilaja Odukoya.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So these issues are recurring issues. This is not the first time. I mean, Nigerians, once you mention ASUU, I'm very sure that the first thing that will come to the mind of any Nigerian is the 2009 agreement, because we've talked about it so much in the country. It's been on the news for a really long time. Where are you on that agreement? What has been done and what has not been done?
Yeah, thank you so much. But it is just right at this point in time to start by congratulating teachers all over the country at all levels, primary, secondary, and the tertiary level, particularly my colleague at the university level, and all other African teachers and across the globe, because today, incidentally, marks the Teachers' Day, the day teachers are celebrated. Unfortunately, teachers are not celebrated for our oppressed and dehumanized in Nigeria. But let me just say this clearly. There are teachers work on earth. We should stop every attempt to make sure teachers get their reward in the hereafter, which is what has been happening in Nigeria. So having said that, I can now go into the 2009 agreement and all the shenanigans with the government. Yeah, like rightly said, this has been long-standing. The 2009 agreement is a product of collective bargaining between the federal government and our union, ASUU. That agreement was supposed by design to be reviewed every 3 years. So, but unfortunately, as we speak, that has not been done. In fact, nothing was done until 2017, and that has been led to a lot of strike action to compel government to do what they should do. 2017, fast forward 2022, two serious negotiations have taken place. The first one, three actually, the first one was never serious under Babalaki, who truncated the whole process. There was one under Professor, there was one before, and there was another one under Professor late Professor Mimis Drake. And an agreement was signed. Agreement was signed under these two occasions, but the government have refused to actually get back to our union, despite the fact that we confirmed from the agents of government whether they have full mandate, and they told us they did. And what were the issues? One, as we speak, the salary earned by lecturers is still the same salary that has been negotiated since 2009. And if you put it in dollars time, which has become a major issue determinant in our economy, as of 2009, Nigerian lecturer, a professor earned an average of maybe $3,000. But with today's exchange rates, an average professor hardly go to an equivalent of $2,000. And you know how the implication of that on the viability of the university system, the motivation and the survival of even the lecturer. That was why I said lecturers and teachers earn their salary, work on earth. They should not be made to go to the hereafter to start getting any reward. Then again, we have the issue of the IPPIS, which is a prestigious issue, which the IPPIS has actually destroyed our university. People have been now the university system cannot employ even a cleaner. To employ anybody, you have to go to Abuja to seek approval. And universities are not public service. They are special institutions, and by their nature, the autonomy is very important. And all the lies that were told, which are opposed to the goodness of IPPIS, have been proved to be false. IPPIS have been proved to be a worse form of corruption than what is seek to actually replace. Those who superintended over IPPIS have been shown to actually be the thief within the system. We have the case of the former Accountant General, the apostle of IPPIS, that have been accused allegedly, and is in court, to have made away with over 100 billions of naira that will have gone to actually improve the system. We have the situation of promotion arrears. We have earned academic allowances. And when I will talk about earned academic allowances, what we are simply saying is that academics are being made to do more than they should do. We have a ratio, lecturer-teacher-student ratio, which maybe, for example, in the sciences, it's 1 to 30, or to say, but as you go to this thing, you are seeing 1 to 200, 1 to 300 in the social sciences and the humanities. What there are classes we have, the maximum you should have is 1 to maybe 50. But you see a single lecturer having 1,000, 2,000, 400, and so on students. So these are the issues. And we've met with governments. We were on strike last time, as you know, we called it off. We graduated those students that were victims of that strike by government inactivity and insensitivity. And here we are again. We have given a one day notice according to law. Government has refused and have neglected to do anything. We have just another 14 days notice is about to expire. And that's why I think we are talking about this.
Professor Odukoya, you said a lot of things that I want us to unpack one after the other. But let's start with the last thing you said, which is you gave a 21-day ultimatum and then now another 14-day ultimatum. Is it that there was nothing was addressed in the last 21 days?
Yeah, we've had several meetings, and it's what I call motion without movements. For example, I will tell you now that a number of subcommittees were set up, or deadlines were given, and we have gotten back to some of those meetings only to discover that maybe it was even that day they are actually communicating with one unit or the other and things like that. But virtually, we have seen that the government have shown serious state of unseriousness. They have not shown that they are actually interested in solving the problems, and based on this, that's why we are equally. If there were to have been progress, we will not even have to issue another ultimatum. So it's so unfortunate, and the government is taking the education and the future of the youth of this country with levity, and this is so sad.
In your conversations with either the Minister of Education or the Minister of Labor, what has been the body language to your demands and then the 2009 agreement?
Yes, on the surface, they know the issues and they know what should be done. But why they are not doing what should be done is a question Nigerians should ask them. The issues are, everybody is in the public domain. It will even amaze you that in all of these issues, when we meet with them, the issue is that they will even tell you there are no documents. They don't have this file, they don't have this file, they didn't have this agreement, they didn't have this and things like that. And when we even submit it to them, the next time we are meeting, it's another story. And it's not just about them. You will remember that the President Chief of Staff was actually part of the people that intervened during the last strike that led to his call-off. It's in government now as the Chief of Staff. What is being done? Even the President himself actually, as a private citizen then, interested in being the President, equally intervened at different levels. So the President himself is equally abreast of the issue. He knew, is aware of the issue. He knows the facts of the case. And we know his position before he came to power. So if something is not being done at this time, then you ask yourself, what has happened? Has they changed because they have power now? Were they deceiving Nigerians? But of course, just like our ruling class, we know they all have a pathological hatred for knowledge. We know they are not interested in education, neither they are interested in development. If they are, you will not play with education in general, talk less of university education in particular. And no nation that decides to develop plays with its own intelligentsia. No nation. So it's so sad that we are in kind of this comatose economic situation, and the government is taking and treating its university and its intelligentsia, its scholars, its researcher the way we are doing. It's so sad.
So, for example, let's talk about the labor union. You know, whenever they have issues, you know, or they have demands or met demands by the federal government, their approach will usually be to approach the president directly. Sometimes we've seen the president set up a committee to address their issues or meet with them, you know, on a one-on-one basis. Has ASUU tried to do that, to have, you know, audience with the president?
The truth is that no labor union approaches the president directly. The president in a good system should not even be dealing with this mundane issue, because it's a mundane issue. You have an agreement, you can't fulfill it. Why should that be the president's business? So the approaching the president is actually a last resort, and we had it before. The other time, we've had a situation when, even before President Goodluck Jonathan intervened, we had over a 13-hour meeting, and the problem was solved. It never started with President Jonathan. There were serious level of negotiation and things like that before Namandi Sambo, the vice president, actually equally took over. When that failed, that was when the president came in. So it is not actually fashionable. Then the president would actually have time for the business of state. But I've just told you that even this present president is abreast of the issues even before he became president. And there are promises he made. So he does not even need consultation. This issue for us should have been solved by this President Tinubu within a week or two, getting to power. Because all the documents then were actually given to him. So he has the facts. Then talking about whether we are not abreast with meeting the president. We actually thought by now we would have met with the president. And we have made several attempts to do that, given our interactions before he became president. But we have written several letters, and I can tell you we have not been able to meet with him. And of course, like they always say, when they get to power, maybe the president more often than not become to some cabal. So maybe that's what has happened to the president in this instance. I don't know, but we have not. We've made. That's why there are several attempts that we have made. That's why the kind of conversations between us before he became president on this very issue, we have not been able, and the government has not actually reached out to meet us.
Professor, we'll try not to make insinuations and speculations that we cannot ascertain, especially with the comment on cabal. But I only asked my question about seeing the president earlier because you had described your meetings with the Minister of Labour and that of Education as all motion without movement. But let's take all of the issues one after the other. Let's talk about the IPPIS, because I know that there was an agreement at some point that ASUU should now move to UTAS, and that there was a directive by the president, in that regard. Have you been given any reason as to why they have not migrated ASUU to your platform, which is UTAS?
There's not been any explanation. Again, whether you like it or not, when things happen in governments, and you have what we call this red tapeism of bureaucratic bottleneck, that's what we think is happening. It's so amazing. President is an executive president, and it has serious implication for governance. And when you say a president is an executive president, you are talking about what you call a KBC. You give order and it is obeyed. But it's so sad. December last year, the instruction on what you are referring to, the government gave a clear directive arising from a Federal Executive Council meeting. And sadly, as we speak, nothing has been done. So, who's to blame? What kind of governance system is going on there? Who's in charge? Those are the issues we are raising.
And what implication has that had for your members because you had complaints about the IPPIS, that's why you insisted that you should be moved to UTAS, and the continued payment of your allowances and salaries on IPPIS, what implication has that had on your members?
Terrible. It has been so terrible, and things are actually getting worse given the kind of suffocating economic situation. We have members that some of our members have not even been able, although they are not much, not been able to get their salaries even since the IPPIS Wahala started. Many of our several members, including myself, have not been able to get our promotion arrears from 2018. Our members are actually we're losing so many members, because our members have been overworked. With the IPPIS, the universities like I alluded to earlier, our university cannot employ even a cleaner. You have to go to Abuja. Departments that have an establishment of, say, 30, 40 lecturers will be lucky to have 5, 6. People are not staying. We can't attract the best brain from abroad like every university should. And our lecturers are leaving because we are being paid poverty wages, and it's not equally certain. Our members survive mostly. We're able to do most of the things we do based on our contribution to cooperative. With the IPPIS, members have been, several of our cooperatives have been owed a lot of running to billions of naira. Third-party deductions are not being paid. Sometimes they are not being deducted, but severally they are being deducted, are not being remitted to those cooperatives. So our members could not access loan and things like that. Yet they are grossly underpaid. So these are the kind of some of the problems that we have been facing. So it's been so terrible, and more fundamentally, it has equally affected the autonomy of the university. Our members cannot be sure of their promotion as at when due. We cannot attract foreign scholars that usually will come for sabbatical, visiting fellowship, and so on and so forth. So it's been very terrible for the system, and it's a major disservice to the Nigerian university system in general.
So, Prof, when you say that you haven't, haven't gotten your, is it promotion arrears, would that be because of the IPPIS, or is that a thing of political willingness?
Exactly. The IPPIS is actually ignorant, and they refuse to learn about how the university system works. So, for example, when you promote when you're working with a professor, for instance, in terms of promotion, the professorial interview or promotion process is different from any promotion process everywhere. It is not just like you just assess the upper form and things like that. No, because a professor in Nigeria should be a professor anywhere in the world. So when you want to promote people from in the professorial cadre, their papers are sent out to 3 assessors. One of them, which must be external, and this will take a long period of time to be assessed and things like that. Then it is when it comes back, and minimum of 2 out of those 3 must be positive that this person deserves to be a professor. So those processes take some time. So by the time it's coming back, you are seeing it could take a year, 2 years or more. The normal university system understands that, and your promotion will take effect from when that process started. But for IPPIs, they cannot understand, and they have refused to learn. They have refused to understand. So that's why you have all this accumulation of promotion arrears, because the question they are asking is that, why should you now be paying me back for 2 years? The person is due for promotion 2 years in that instance, and the process has started. So the usual thing is, and of course, usually it should not last more than 5 months or even this thing. But lecturers everywhere, they are overworked, and these are part of the work they do. And of course, even paying some of these lecturers has become problematic, because the universities are owing several of those lecturers unpaid or token for assessment. More often than not, they are not even willing to even assess. So the VC, the dean, and the HOD have to put so much pressure and things like that. So it takes time. So when it comes, people get promoted, they don't get paid. And again, several of our members, and that's equally sad, have lost their life in the process of even waiting for this process to mature, or even to get their promotion arrears. It's so sad.
All right. So, Prof, you talked about the state of university earlier, and some people will blame ASUU and some other unions within the tertiary institutions for this, because there was a time where there was a conversation of giving autonomy to tertiary institutions. But the conversation then was tertiary institutions are not revenue generating, agencies, organizations, and therefore cannot sustain themselves. That if that had happened, perhaps all of these issues would have been resolved, because you know the issues and then you can resolve them yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me tell you for free, and you can check. Even private university abroad get subvention from governments. The university is a special vehicle institution. It is not for profits. And go and ask our colleagues in the private sector, in the private university sector, if they are actually breaking even. And again, the university or universities within the context of an undeveloped peripheral economy like Nigeria cannot afford to actually go that way in terms of actually this thing. We are in a knowledge society. If we must stop depending on oil, if we must stop being exporters of unprocessed products, we must invest heavily in the university, and we must attract people to university. The university education is actually, the demand is humongous. Yet people are being shut out, even
Sorry, my apologies, Prof.
I
do have to, my apologies for cutting it because I understand that I have like a minute or two left. And I just wanted to ask you as we wind down the conversation, because the body language from the different administration as to the 2009 agreement seems to be that of an unwillingness to continue with that agreement. Are you willing to renegotiate that agreement? What do you think is the way forward?
The agreement should have expired since 2012. We're not talking about continuity with the agreement. This renegotiation, that's what we have been talking about. So it's the government refusal to renegotiate. That's what we're saying. No, the condition for the agreement is that every 3 years it will be renegotiated. And that's what we have been talking about. Let's renegotiate. It's not let's continue. That is the condition in the agreement does not even hold again. Like what you are paying us 2009. Would you say the salary of 2009? What was the exchange rate then? And what is it now? So we're not talking about continuity of the agreement. We're talking about renegotiation. And it has been renegotiated twice with the government refusing to do anything. So that's the issue.
Thank you so much, Prof. I know that as this ultimatum comes to an end, I mean, this 14 days is nearing its end, we'll have conversations with you over and over again to see what's the latest development. Thank you for your time. Zonal Coordinator, ASUU Lagos Zone, Professor Adelaja Odukoya. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's nice talking with you.
All right, let's take a break now. When we return, there's been a major conversation on constitution review in Nigeria and the 6-year single term. Stay with us.